Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Friday. Friday's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, sacred literature. Oh, Kaustubha G, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
All good?
Yeah.
Stories.
Yeah. What about stories?
I'm just saying, we got stories here, stories filled with broken pieces, terrible choices, ugly truths. We're making a spiritual change, better choice. Taking shelter of sweet baby Krishna. Happy we're here. I leave today. Me and Justin pack up the F-150 and head towards Vermont. We're going to meet Kelly Skinner there. Srinivas is there, some of our Zoomers. And Krishna Das is going to be there.
Okay.
And also Rupa and Kumari for bhaktistock.com. You can join us for a weekend of camping out at a big farm and doing kirtan all weekend.
I was with Rupa and Kumari last night.
I heard, I saw on Instagram. You know, I hate Instagram and I love it too. I know what's going on with all my relatives. I don't have to call them. I know how their kids are doing.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Part
You
of
just
why
sort
you
of
love
check
it.
in. You check in. Oh man, how was that trip? It looks like that trip to Greece was great. You know, you're up to date with everybody.
Yeah. So you're up to date with me then. Or you're up to date
I'm
with
up to
Rupa
date with you. You don't have to say anything. I know all about you. I follow you on social media. No, there was a thing. Kumari danced yesterday, right at the Bhakti Center.
That was one thing that happened. Yeah, like the swing festival is continuing at the Bhakti Center. Last night was the second night, but it was kind of like normally they have the Thursday night kirtan there, so this was kind of like their blowout night of swing festival where lots of guests came. Place was packed.
The swing goes faster, higher.
No, but more people swinging. And but Kumari, it started with some kirtan that Kumari did. That you would have loved this dance, Raghunath. You know, it was one of those. It was one, because this Bharatanatyam dance is all the movements. It's telling us. It's storytelling in the form of dance, right?
Sure. What was the story?
So, it was all these examples of like where he's this, but he's like that, and his mother just showed us her love for Krishna. It included her looking in his mouth, seeing the entire universe, becoming kind of shocked.
They're a wonderful couple.
Yashoda and Krishna?
Oh, they're a wonderful couple too. I meant Kumari and Rupa.
They are.
Kumari and Rupa.
Yeah, so it was a great dance, and then I spoke for half an hour. As a matter of fact, there's a video of it, so I'll post that on Patreon, but on the Bhakti Center's YouTube thing. The video of the entire night, actually. It may be a little hard to hear me, but then the kirtan afterwards, my God. The kirtan started and Janavi was leading and the swinging began. Just, it is such a blessing that to have there was Janavi, there was Ananta and Achyuta and all their nephews,
No, that's the equivalent of like, yeah, we went down to the studio. Oh, look who was there. It was what's his name from the Rolling Stones? What's his name from the
What's his
Kinks?
name?
What's his name from
Yeah, it's world
Crosby,
class.
Stills, Nash and Young. It's like having like these celebrity kirtan musicians just in your hand.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to explain to that guy at the restaurant who complimented my shirt yesterday. I was like, we got like the best guys in the world upstairs every Thursday night. They come together and they sing. It's like technical, it's beautiful, it's musical. You'll cry, you'll dance. I don't know if he wanted to come after I used that expression. You'll cry. I'm going to cry and dance up there with those guys, but it happens.
Once I was on a Thursday night, I was on the sidewalk in front of the Bhakti Center, and Patti Smith came by. I said, "Oh, Patti Smith, how you doing?" Blah blah blah. And then it's like, if you want to see like one of the coolest musical things happening on the Lower East Side right now, like upstairs right now, you got. She's like, oh, "Okay, thank you."
You saw
And then
Patti
she-
Smith?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh,
You
thank
brought her
you."
upstairs?
No, I tried, but she didn't go for
tried.
it.
She blew it. She dropped the ball.
No,
Could have changed her whole destiny.
She'll have another chance.
Now she's going right to hell.
so in any case, Genevieve was leading the thing. Everybody's just flying so high. It's like it's crazy. And then like the nephew Keshava, who's like one of the nephews of Ananta and Achyuta, he like, my God, it's like that guy just super kirtan power. He kept like every time he would change the melody, it was like this super power kirtan melody, like that one Ayendra does, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You know that one? You should learn that one, right? It's like
These guys. I'm not
the
in their
heavens open
camp.
up or something.
I'm like a dwarf reaching for the moon. I can't keep up with these guys.
No, you do.
This
your
is like
thing.
next level kirtan stuff.
I mean, it is like, they're very skillful, and they're not only are they very skillful, but it is their life, right? It's their life and soul kirtan. And then Achyuta came on after that, and just like did all.
Do you follow all those guys on SoundCloud? You can hear.
They're on
all
SoundCloud. The Concrete Jungle, New York Kirtan, something like that is called. Yeah.
Concrete Jungle. Okay.
Yeah. Unbelievable night, the whole thing. And just Little Rod and Krishna there on that swing, going back and forth, everybody feeling it. It was a really beautiful event.
And it's over now. No more swing
Festival.
festival.
No, it's the second. That was night 2. Tonight again, and then Saturday and Sunday. Sunday is
Saturday and
Balaram
Sunday.
Purnima.
Wait, say that again. Saturday.
Well, it goes like this: there's Friday, and then after that comes Saturday, and then there's one on Sunday. Okay.
Okay. When's Balaram Purnima?
That's on Sunday.
Okay, so that means Balaram. That's the full moon, right?
It's a full moon, yeah. Purnima means the full moon.
Wait a second. How could this be? How could the full moon be on that day? Oh, I got you. Because it's the full moon, and then the 8th day after that is Janmashtami. So it goes Balaram Purnima. Purnima means the full moon, and so 8 days later is the Janma Asta, the eighth day of the appearance.
But because that'll be in Europe,
because we're in Europe on Krishna's appearance day.
The days get a little mixed.
This is exciting.
Yeah, we kick off that retreat in Italy on Janmashtami at this beautiful Krishna temple, Villa Vrindavan.
It's gonna be good.
It's a Tuscany. What do they call it? A villa, I guess, right? A villa.
A villa.
A villa.
It's a villa. Yeah, we're gonna work on that. We're gonna figure out our timeline too, because we're gonna be traveling in another time zone. We're gonna be a bunch of Europeans. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna do the show late in the day. I think Vivi worked it out.
Late in the day for us, but same time in the States.
Yeah, same time for the States. Yeah. Because in America, it's all about us. We got to keep our schedule really normal. Okay. All right, so let's get into this.
Do we have an announcement? You want to announce that the T-shirt thing is back up and running, right?
Yeah, we got our T-shirts because we got a lot of, hey, what's going on with your T-shirt thing? We can't purchase T-shirts. I fixed the.
You fixed it?
No, I didn't fix it. You want the God honest truth? I didn't fix it. Right. But it's been fixed by Udi. Uddhava Sandesh fixed it.
Udi.
And so you got to
Skateboard.
go to wisdomofthesages.com, and then there's a link for shop. And if you want to wear one of those cool shirts, you can get one.
All right. I got a whole variety of them.
All about wearing cool things and impressing people.
Okay. And also, I was interviewed for the Monks podcast with Chaitanya Charan, the spiritual scientist. We talk a lot about Bhagavatam. We talk a lot about wisdom of the sages. We talk a lot about postmodern thinking, the postmodern mind. I think it's going to be called Bhagavatam for the postmodern mind, something like that. But that'll be released this afternoon, and I'll share that on Patreon as well.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Mm-hmm.
Ready? Here we go. Let's dive into the niblet nuggets. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will be destroyed, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Text 20.
Text 22.
Thanks, Mara.
You're welcome.
All right. Maitreya.
I guess so.
Maitreya is this. What's that?
Well, we're going back to sage level 3 now.
Thank you. Sage level. So Maitreya is speaking to Vidura. There's a conversation going on. Maitreya resumed. Sincerely extolled in these words, Lord Vishnu, shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, replied with words as sweet as nectar. His eyebrows moved gracefully as he looked at the sage with a smile full of affection. The Supreme Lord said, having come to know what was in your mind, I have already arranged for that. For which you have worshipped me well through your mental and sensory discipline. Text 24. The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshiping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration.
Boom. Right there, right? Let's read that. First of all, let's get a little context again just to make sure, right? Kardama Muni was for thousands of years practicing yoga in the forest, right, in the jungle, you could say. And now the focus of his meditation was Lord Vishnu. Then Lord Vishnu appeared to him. We just finished up him offering his prayers to Lord Vishnu. Now Vishnu's responding. And he kind of opens up here with this very interesting statement, right? He's saying, you know, you have a desire in your heart, and I've already arranged for it. And he said, and of course it mentions that smile. It always mentions that when he arrives, right? He never shows up angry, right? He has a smile full of affection, right? Imagine how sweet that must be to see that. And then he says, having come to know what was in your mind, right? He knew what was in his mind. I've already arranged for that which you have worshipped me. What was he worship? What was that? What was that desire, Raghunath?
He wanted a wife.
He wanted a good wife.
Wanted a good wife or progeny.
Yep. He says so. For those now, but then he gives this wider kind of. He kind of zooms out, expands the topic. He says, for those who serve me in devotion, right? Especially persons like you, who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. That's a very interesting idea, right? When you give up, when you know, in the Yoga Sutras, there's this term, Ishvara Pranidhana,
Ishvara Pranidhana. That's a good one, huh?
It is a good one.
Dan is like to donate. That's where we get the word
Yeah.
donate from.
And prana?
Is your prana. Is your very life air.
Yeah, your very life, right? You give your very life. It's just, so here he says, for someone like who's given up everything to me, Ishvara Pranidhana, that is like, it's one of the niyamas, right? It's really one of the prerequisites for practicing Ashtanga Yoga, that you begin to conceive of your life in a very different way, right? It's like generally we live for ourself in the sense that we live for the desires that are instilled in our mind, or we live for the desires that exist in our senses. That becomes our purpose. But the yogi has a very different idea that my life, it's the maybe the Western mind. I don't know if that's the right categorization or whatever, but the mind that's removed from yogic thought, it has even a hard time making sense of it. Like, let me live entirely. Not for my selfish endeavors, but I give myself entirely. I give myself entirely to God. Ishvara Pranidhana, right? Unto the
It's amazing
Ishvara.
how with this Ishvara Pranidhana, this idea of giving myself to God. This is sort of like what a 12-step recovery program is. It's what Bhakti-yogi is. It's what Christ says to do. It's like the underlying underpinning of the whole yoga process. How do we get secular yoga? How do we like dance around this statement? How do you have we just like cut it all. We just cut it out. We kick Krishna out of the party. It's his party and we've kicked him out of the party again.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest ones that you really can't avoid. It's very obvious. It's right in the Yoga Sutras. It's right in the Ashtanga Yoga. It's like the part of the niyamas.
Yes. And so here he goes, he says that for that person, when you live that life, then there's never any question of frustration. It's very interesting, right? Because, what is our frustration built upon? It's built upon our expectations, But let me let go of all those expectations. Let me let go of, I think it means that. And I also think it means like your desires are accomplished. What you've set out to do becomes accomplished.
The more I look back at my life, the more I realize like all the painful things I've gotten were exactly what I needed. I wouldn't want to do them any other different way. It was even the painful, the heartaches or the loss. It was just like, that was great to get me to here. I needed that to get me to here. The failure turned to something else. The limits of success brought me to something else I needed. It was all like expertly orchestrated by Krishna to bring me to some other place. And then all of a sudden, like everything I needed to pray for, I never needed to pray for. Krishna knew exactly what I needed and gave me whatever I needed. He knew exactly what I needed, almost better than I can articulate it.
Even
like
better than
he
you?
knew he knew better, huh?
Almost better than you?
Almost better than me. That didn't sound right. But Krishna knows exactly what we need. Even though I've got this idea, no, I need it like this. Krishna, it better be like this. No, you need it like this. And I was like, that's exactly what I needed, Krishna.
Look at you just making lemonade over here, Raghunath.
It's just what it is. It's all real, this stuff. All this stuff, it sounds so far-fetched. Swayambhuva Manu, yoga for 10,000 years, 100,000 years he lived. Kardama Muni progeny begetting small animals from your womb.
Not from the womb. Nobody says that. It's from the mind.
They had to be born somehow.
From the mind.
Well, the womb of the mind, then.
Okay.
Maybe the womb of the mind.
if
Maybe
you
the
wanna-
mind is
if
also
you
a type
wanna
of womb.
Use it in a less literal sense. Okay.
Yes, less literal sense. So it's all, as far-fetched as it all sounds, all this stuff is real. Krishna is real. You get exactly what you need. Krishna knows exactly what you need. He goes right over what you want sometimes. He gives you what you need. And it's all beautiful when you zoom the hell out.
Okay. And so Kardama Muni's going to he needs a good wife, and that's what's coming.
He's getting a good
Text
wife.
25. Yeah.
Okay. Text
25.
25. The emperor, Swayambhuva Manu, the son of Lord Brahma, who is well known for his righteous acts, has his seat in Brahmavart, and rules over the earth with its seven oceans.
Mm-hmm.
The day after tomorrow, O Brahmana, that celebrated emperor who is expert in dharma, or the religious activities, they say, will come here with his queen Satarupa, wishing to see you. He has a grown-up daughter whose eyes are black. Doesn't sound good, but we know.
No, that's good. Not black eye like a
Black eyes, like she's a
like
boxer.
She's a dark-eyed beauty. She's
Dark-eyed beauty,
beautiful
okay.
dark eyes.
She is ready for marriage, and she has good character and has all good qualities. She is also searching for a good husband. My dear sir, her parents will come to see you, who are exactly suitable for her, just to deliver their daughter as your wife.
This sounds like you'd be thrilled to attend this event, Raghunath.
I would love it.
Perfectly arranged marriage.
Perfectly, expertly arranged. He's gentle. That princess, O holy sage, will be just the type you have been thinking of in your heart for all these long years. She will soon be yours and will serve you to your heart's content.
And he will serve her too. Let's be clear about that.
Let's be clear about that. You're not going to get away. You're not going to get a pass on that. She will bring forth 9 daughters from the seed sown in her by you. Sowing the seeds. And through the daughters you beget the sage. Through the daughters you beget, the sages will duly beget children.
Mm-hmm.
With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning me to the fruits of your acts, you will finally attain me.
Whoa, hold. Let's read that again. I just want to catch that again. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command. So through service, right? Through that Ishvara Pranidhana, to like, okay, my life is for you. I'm not running around chasing this phantasmagoria, trying to satisfy my senses. There's a purpose in life. I'm going to focus on making myself an instrument of divine will. So with your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my command, resigning to me the fruits of all of your acts, right? I'm not acting selfishly, but I'm giving back in every act. You will finally attain me. All right. And then this next verse, this is a good one, text 31.
Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization.
Boom.
Giving giving assurance of safety to all, you will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me and myself in you.
Okay.
All right, so he's going to become self-realized being.
Let's talk about this, right? First of all, it's mentioning that for the yogi part, I mean, it's an essential part, obviously. It's being mentioned here right up front. But saying showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization. We could assume that the opposite is true too, right? That by not showing compassion to all living entities, you will not attain a self-realization. Because, and then the second part of this verse, it kind of there's a certain logic that ties into, right? Because you're going to perceive your own self as well as the universes in me, and you're going to perceive myself in you. And so what we're talking about here is what we call Param Atma, right? Param Atma. That, there's the Atma within the body. That's the soul. That's each one of us individually. And then there's the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, or Krishna or Lord Vishnu. That all the universes reside in the form of Mahavishnu. But he also resides within every one as Shiradakshaya Vishnu, or as Paramatma, in the heart of every living being. And he says you're going to perceive that. And if you do perceive that, if you do get that, if you cultivate that, then naturally you feel compassion for every living entity. You feel a kinship with every living entity because they're made out of Lord Vishnu's energy, just like you are. And when you look at them, you not only see their soul within that body, but you see, and when I say see, I'm not necessarily talking about like visually you see, but in other words, you perceive the presence of Lord Vishnu within every body along with that soul. That transforms your behavior. That transforms your relationships. That elevates your sense of compassion. But it's compassion rooted in truth. So that text 31 right there. There's a whole lot in that one.
Well, we have this idea where it's sort of like, I have, I have compassion for all living beings. Like, why is that such a big deal? Of course, I have compassion for all living beings. We don't. We don't have compassion for all living beings. We have compassion for people who please us. We have a lot of hate for people. We can open up a newspaper or look at the news. Do people still read newspapers or magazines? Just be like, oh, who is this jerk? Or once I look at who is this jerk, you should understand we don't have compassion for people. We have people that we like, people that we endorse, people that endorse us, and then there's a bunch of people we hate their guts because they're not doing the right thing. Maybe they're hurting people. Compassion for all living beings means we understand that everybody's a pure spirit soul, even the jerks out there. And they're lost in a type of illusion, sometimes causing all types of chaos and harm. But there's still a type of compassion and love for them underneath that. And it might be hard to see in the big world, but we can do it right in our life. We can have no enemies and no hate within our life. Even people that are driving you crazy, sticking bamboos up your fingernails. We've all got somebody. Mara's got like a whole team of people going after her, trying to take her down. No, you're number one, Mara, number one chef in Columbia County. All these envious chefs trying to take her down. Forget it.
It's not going to.
You got to have a reality show with Mara in the the kitchen.
What do they have that show where the chef is like really cruel or something like that? But she could be the opposite, right?
Yeah, the kind chef.
That's called like Hell's Kitchen. Is that what it's called? Hell's Kitchen?
I don't
you
know.
could have Vaikuntha Kitchen with...
Vaikuntha Kitchen.
Mara.
Everyone's very kind to each other.
Yeah.
Let me get that for you, Prabhu. Let me clean up after you.
And instead of coming out like and screaming at all the staff, you'd be coming out like, you guys are doing such a great job. I don't deserve you as employees.
We love you, Mara. Please accept my obeisances.
Nobody would watch that, right? We're all like,
it's boring. That's the problem that's the problem with nice people in the mode of goodness. They're boring. Not
boring.
you, Mara. I'm just saying devotees in general.
They're boring to the material mind, but they're fascinating. Like here, this conversation right here. Cardamom Muni, Lord Vishnu. Right? It's like that.
No,
He's coming down and say, "You did such a great job."
Yeah,
Love
it's
you.
like the bee, the honey bee goes towards the flowers, and the fly goes to the feces, isn't it?
Yes.
So we have this fly-like mentality. We want Jerry Springer. We want barroom fights. We want, violence. We're attracted to all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's a material mind.
That's such
But anyway,
a great example, the fly and the bee, right? Which one do we want to be?
we want to be bee-like, honey bee-like,
That's
going
right.
for
Be
those
the
sweet
bee.
flowers.
There's the takeaway. Be the bee. Okay.
Be the bee.
Be the bee.
Ooh, me like that.
Okay.
A little
Don't be
niblet
the
for
fly.
me.
Don't be the fly.
Be the fly. So this is there is hate there, and we can practice it on a regular basis. If you pick up a magazine or if you open up Fox or CNN or whatever type of stool-like media we're consuming, we got to be like, you know what? These people are an illusion. Not just like, who's this idiot? Who's this ass? Who's this? We got to be compassionate. We find people in our life. We got to learn to love, and it's a tall order, because some people are acting really horrible, or some people are attacking me and my ego, and that it's such a good. If they're attacking you and your ego, you should understand Krishna's giving you special mercy to work through that.
I shared a verse with you the other day, Raghunath. Did you take note?
Probably not, only because I don't listen.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read it. This is Lord Shiva speaking, and because I was.
Oh yeah, the Shiva verse. You texted me
it?
that.
Did you like
yeah,
it?
I didn't read it truthfully, but I did see it. I was like, Kaustubha sending me stuff at the wrong time. I was like, what's he doing? Why is he sending me this now?
It was out of my affection for you. I was sharing
okay,
something
great.
dear to me that I thought would be dear to you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No. Well, I know it doesn't all. Some of it like kind of slips through the cracks. But I'm going to read it to you right now. Okay.
All right.
So this is Lord Shiva. When he had been offended. Well, he wasn't offended, but like Daksha had acted. This is part of what we talk about on the in that interview that I do with
Chaitanya Charan.
With Chaitanya Charan. Yeah, we're talking about. It has to do with like yoga for the postmodern, or Bhagavatam for the postmodern mind. Like there's a lot in the Bhagavatam that potentially appeals to the postmodern mind. And
Mara, what's the postmodern mind?
Kaustubha, you want to explain that?
he defined it in three ways, and if you tune into the interview, you can get it. But part of it has to do with like skepticism towards structures of authority. And so, we see like Bhagavatam's doing that all the time. Like the big religious leaders are just like, Daksha, right, who appears several times in the Bhagavatam. He's a person we need to respect on one level. Like the level of his piety, of his self-control and so on, like it's way beyond us. Like his good qualities, they're like way beyond, where we're coming from. But at the same time, because he's not a full-on transcendentalist, a full-on spiritualist, a full-on lover of God, what the Bhagavatam does is it shows that even those highly placed religious leaders, where they lack depth in spirituality, they get exposed. And so like Daksha's just being made a fool of several times in the Bhagavatam. And a lot of it has to do with his only seeing externals, right? He looks at Lord Shiva, who's his son-in-law. He looks at him externally, the way that he's dressed, for example, right? The people that he associates with. And he thinks, how the hell did this guy marry my daughter? My pious, saintly daughter. This dirty guy, is married my daughter. But he can't see the qualities of Lord Shiva. He can't recognize the compassion of Lord Shiva. And so he offends Lord Shiva. And so much so that he even rejects his own loving daughter, right? So he's having this big ceremony. People are coming from all around. His daughter wants to go there. Shiva tells Sati, Daksha's daughter, his own wife, better you don't go because your father really doesn't like me. And as soon as he sees you, he's going to start saying bad stuff about me. And that's not going to make you feel good. You're going to feel worse. I predict that if you go, it's not going to be nice.
Bad.
It's going to be bad. So she goes, she's just kind of so much wanting to see her family and friends and attend the event and everything. She's like, I want to go. And as predicted, Daksha hardened, right, by his just, like his merely like religious thought without any depth of spirituality. That's part of what he helps define postmodern thought, that idea of I'm spiritual but I'm not religious. And so he's religious and not spiritual, right? His own loving daughter, he just turns his back on her. And then she's like so upset. And she's saying, like, I don't even, how could you be so disrespectful to Lord Shiva? He's such a wonderful, kind-hearted, loving soul. And you can't recognize that in him. She's so disturbed by his shallow level of thought, his shallow level of spirituality, and his offenses to her husband, that she says, if this body is associated with you, well, then I don't want it anymore. And she sits down and goes into this yogic,
trance,
you could say, and then her whole self-emulation.
Self-emulation?
Self-emulation. Spontaneous
human
combustion. Spontaneous human combustion. Google that one, right? This was
real.
Any videos on YouTube for that? Spontaneous human. It happens. And so she lights up, and then the whole place breaks into chaos and so on. All of those religious leaders that were in that ceremony, their whole efforts to perform their religious practice just got completely turned upside down and turned inauspicious. So they all go to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma says, well, you've offended a great soul, Lord Shiva. You expect anything, you expect anything, is going to go right after that? It's going to bring all kinds of inauspiciousness into your life. You need to, and there's only one remedy when you offend a great soul. What's that?
You go to that great soul and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I made a
right.
terrible mistake.
You can't just go around it, right? You got to go right to the root of the issue.
The root, you apologize. Always feels good when you apologize, huh?
It does. Yeah.
That's a t-shirt. It always feels good when you apologize.
Okay. And so they all go to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva says this. I think he says it to Brahma. Lord Shiva says, this is how he responded to the offense towards him. He wasn't offended. What is it? Your 6 pillars? Take no offense.
He takes no offense.
Right? Even though so
Shiva
many
doesn't take
horrible things were
offense.
said about him by Daksha, he didn't take any offense. So Lord Shiva said, my dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet. Oh, he's praying to, oh, I know what happens. Yeah. At the end, after he forgives everyone, they go back and they do their ritualistic ceremonies again in this big festival. And then Lord Vishnu appears and everyone begins to offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. And so Lord Shiva speaks up, and this is what he says. He says, my dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which, as the source of all benediction and the fulfillment of all desires, are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed, now this is big, right? With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations, and I excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities.
Because as people are being hateful towards you, or just hateful in general, their hate makes a person miserable.
Yeah.
So I hate a person that's hateful. It's just making you hateful.
Yeah. And what empowered him to do it, he says, and what empowered him to do it is, he says, with my mind fixed on your lotus feet. In other words, because I'm not consuming all kind of garbage in my mind, right? But my mind is focused on you through hearing Bhagavatam, through Kirtan, through, if we absorb our mind in that way, we keep our mind fixed, on Krishna, on Vishnu, on the lotus feet of Vishnu, in those ways. That gives one the ability, that gives one the power. It should manifest in one's being able to let go. I'm not offended by things. And from that position, I can actually have genuine feelings of compassion, not only for like certain segments of society or certain segments of, certain species, certain families, certain nations, the underprivileged, the this or that. No, your circle gets so wide that it's all living entities, even those that are like attacking you. So for Lord Shiva, he's like, it's no problem, because my mind is always fixed on your lotus feet. I'm no longer disturbed by persons that blaspheme me, claiming that it doesn't disturb my mind at all. Usually when someone says something against us, right, it really can be very disturbing. It could really take the mind on different kind of trips, right? You get into those turbo scenarios. The mind spins around.
You sort of play out revenge scenarios in your mind.
Revenge scenarios.
I'm gonna get them. Tie them to the train tracks.
Right. So it's hard not to be like that if the mind hasn't been purified. If we're not consciously avoiding all the garbage, and if we're consciously focusing on that true, powerful spiritual content, it makes all the difference. So he says,
and expect it to come. If we're not purified of it, expect it to come. These are just like lessons that the conditioned soul has to learn in this life. You'll be offended by your spouse. You'll be offended by a friend. You'll be offended by just some person out there in your universe, in the workplace. Get ready to be offended so you can get ready to react to that.
Yeah.
And we are in charge of how we react. And it's the refining of how we react that makes us God conscious, material conscious.
Yep. There you go. Love it. So in any case, the text again, showing compassion to all living entities, right? He's got that, Kardama Muni has that wide circle, right? It's not limited to some smaller community. Showing compassion to all living entities, you will attain self-realization. Giving assurances of safety to all, you will perceive your own self as well as all the universes in me, right? We're all dependent on. We're all these tiny little beings that are even, the universes themselves they enter and exit the body of Lord Vishnu with his breathing. And at the same time, he is within everyone. God is within the heart of every living being. He's seeing it, feeling it, understanding it, and it's manifesting his compassion to all living entities. All right. 32.
Well, all right. When are we on?
32.
32. Oh, great sage, I shall manifest my own plenary portion through your wife, Devahuti, along with your 9 daughters, and I shall instruct her in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories.
Okay, so what's that all about?
Sunkya.
Yeah, well, okay, but
What is
first of
it?
all, he says, "Oh, grace, I shall manifest my own
She's
plenary
gonna give
portion."
birth to an avatar,
Yep. So he
which is
said,
a
"I'm going to
cool
become your son."
concept.
Right?
Which is a
Imagine.
cool concept, isn't it? I gave birth to an avatar.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine how Kardamamuni feels. First, like Lord Vishnu comes down and said he's like as brilliant as the sun, right? He's just this glowing, and he's like got this beautiful smile, and he's like saying, "Congratulations, you did well. I'm proud of you," and
Mm.
you know, you're attaining self-realization now, and you're going to get the beautiful wife that you want, and I'm going to become your son. It's- and not only am I going to become your son, but he says that I'll instruct your wife in the system of philosophy that deals with the ultimate principles or categories. So that's called Sunkya philosophy. It's it's a system of thought that divides the material world up into different ingredients or different categories, different elements, but for the purpose of separating the self from it. In other words, if I really understand, for instance, what the body's made of, I can break it down into 24 different categories, and then I can understand that I am not one of those categories. I perceive those categories. I utilize those categories. So I must not be material. I'm beyond that. I'm
It's almost
spiritual.
like chemistry class.
It is. It's a
Sankhya
little bit like
philosophy. It's
that.
like going to chemistry class, but if chemistry class was spiritual. Okay, these are all the elements on the periodic table.
Mhm.
Note the elements, okay, and then study how this works. And then all of a sudden, you're not that. You're the observer of them.
Mhm.
It's chemistry without God,
Right. Well, you know, the thing is
which I
this.
found very boring
Well,
personally. I hated chemistry.
well, you see, even within the like the yogic traditions or like the Indian schools of philosophy, one of them is called Sankhya.
So, yeah.
And like just like for like Patanjali writes the Yoga Sutra and becomes kind of like the acharya of yoga, like Ashtanga yoga. So I believe it's Ishvara Krishna that writes the Samkhya Karika, but probably based on the teachings of another Kapila Dev, not this Kapila Dev, right? The avatar that's going to appear in the womb of Devahuti and become the son of Devahuti and Kardama is named Kapila Dev. But there was another character named Kapila Dev that teaches Sankhya, but he also removes God from the picture. And so Srila Prabhupada is always like careful to point out is if you go to the origin of this of Sankhya, it's actually theistic. It's actually all I'm understanding that I'm not these material elements for the purpose of devoting my life to God. And that's what we'll hear in the coming chapters of the third canto of Bhagavatam. We're going to hear that Samkhya philosophy from Kapila Dev himself, answering the questions of Devahuti.
Yet to come.
Okay,
Was a little teaser, little Sankhya teaser.
that's right.
Okay, text 30
3.
to 30. With your heart cleansed by properly carrying out my commands.
No. Text 33.
Oh, 33, I'm sorry. Maitreya went on, thus having spoken to Kardama Muni, the Lord who reveals himself only when the senses are in Krishna consciousness, departed from that lake called Bindu Sarovara, which was encircled by the river Saraswati. While the sage while the sage stood looking on, the Lord left by the pathway leading to Vaikuntha, a path extolled by all great liberated souls. The sage stood listening as the hymns forming the basis of the Samavedas were vibrated by the flapping wings of the Lord's carrier Garuda. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
It's like the Lord or the Garuda flaps his wings and it makes the sound of the Vedas. That's the equivalent of like driving down the car cranking kirtan.
You know, I saw something yesterday, or the day before yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I was on a Sheep's Meadow where we had our picnic,
Yeah.
and you know, like everybody in the city's got these like new kind of
Scooters.
yeah. There's like all kind of like electric powered scooters out there. There's like
Yeah.
tons
One
of them,
wheel,
right?
two wheels,
Yeah,
electric
all
bicycles.
different varieties. Some have no handles, right? Some have handles. Some are long.
Yeah.
Some yeah. So this guy, he was like on one that had like really fat, wide wheels,
Yeah.
so that it could roll on grass like really effectively. And he,
Yeah.
you know, and you have Sheep's Meadow there. And it's like this peaceful place, right?
And he's zipping
Yeah.
through.
Well, he first of all he was dressed outlandishly, right? Like
All right.
super outlandishly, and
Like
and
Lord
he
Shiva.
not like Lord Shiva, outlandish, like it's even hard to describe, but like super gaudy and like disco gaudy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost like George Clinton, like on a scooter or something like that,
Okay.
right? And the scooter was blasting, like it had a sound system. Like a lot of these things have like major sound systems now, right? So the thing was blasting Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight.
Ooh, good song.
And yeah, I thought you hated rap.
I like Rapper's Delight. Why? I don't hate rap. Why do you? Everyone's trying to. I don't hate rap. And I don't even hate gangster rap. I hate the lyrics of gangster rap. Let's just make this very clear for the people here. I think rap is
I don't
good.
hate rap.
I listened to Cool and the Gang, and then I brought it up to
Kool
Run
and the Gang is a
DMC and EPMD, and it's then I went into the ashram where rap was really positive. It was upbeat, and then all of a sudden I went to the ashram and something happened.
Oh, yeah.
Rap got evil. It
That's
started
true.
calling women bitches and hoes. They started talking about like glorifying killing cops. The whole thing was. I came out of the ashram and I still listened to. And then I came out of the ashram. I listened to rap. I found myself singing stuff that I don't want to sing. I don't want to sing about women or bitches and hoes. I don't want to sing about carrying weapons, killing cops. I don't want to sing about that. It's not because I hate rap, because I hate just negative energy, negative lyrics, dark things. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Come on.
All right, fair enough.
Hated rap.
Okay, so anyway, there's this outlandish guy, and he's entered this like peaceful, open area, flying across the grass, dressed outlandishly on this scooter, blasting Rapper's Delight, and I just thought like it's all just like an imitation, like it's a warped reflection of the spiritual world, right? Like Vishnu's on top of Garuda, right? And Garuda's flapping his wings, and the sound of the Vedas is coming from it. It's so like glorious, It's like we can't even imagine the glory of like that vision,
Yeah.
But we're all kind of like that guy. We're all kind of trying
Driving
to be,
some vehicle.
trying to be you're driving. It's all about the vehicle, right? It's all about the music that's accompanying you when you make your entrance into the scene.
Yeah.
You know what?
Well, we drove
Yeah.
to New York City the other day, and I tell you,
Yeah.
me and Vegan Trucker, Mara didn't sing so loud because she's very soft spoken. But me, Mallory, we're all just screaming, literally screaming as we pulled into the city. Windows down, cranking it loud. Not for them, for us. They just
There you go. Yeah. But what I was thinking when I saw that, I was thinking it, I had nothing against the guy. I actually kind of thought I didn't like kind of rolling into that area with like the blasting it like that. But at the same time, I didn't really harbor any kind of resentment towards him, But I was thinking that it's like, we're all this guy. Krishna is the all attractive one, right? Krishna is like, is that being who's like, he's Bhagavan. He's the source of all those incredible qualities, beauty, knowledge, fame, power, wealth, all of that. He's got it in full. We borrow a little bit. This person was just borrowing the tiniest amount, right? But he's like flying around, like trying to embody that, like in a sense, I'm the center of the, you pull into Sheep's Meadow. It's like this huge open area, and you're trying to make yourself the center, like the focus of the whole thing. So you got this music blasting, and you're dressed outlandishly, and you're cruising across the grass as if it's like effortless for you, But what I thought was, why not just let Krishna be the all attractive one, right? Let Krishna be the attractive one. We're all struggling to try to be the attractive one,
Yeah,
I am. We're in the way that we're.
I certainly am.
We want the beautiful body. We're going to the gyms and we're working out and doing all this stuff. We want the wealth. We want the fame. We want to be the center of attention. We struggle hard for that. And even people that get it on higher degrees, ultimately their hearts aren't satisfied, right? Why not let Krishna be the attractive one? It doesn't have to be me, And it's not even so. That's part of what's behind, like, say, the monk life or the brahmachari life, right? Like, you shave your head, right? Part of a person's beauty is in their hair. The monk just says, you know what? I'm not going to worry about how my hair looks today and trying to make it look. I'm just going to shave it all off, right?
Shave it all off.
You try to do it in your clothes. You try to wear clothes that
Simple.
Well, yeah, and for the brahmachari, they just simplify the whole thing. I'm just going to wear the simple same thing every day, no big deal. Uh, but bhakti yoga, it doesn't demand that you become a monk. But what it does demand is that you you kind of let go. You can put a little effort into it, right? That won't destroy your yoga practice. That won't destroy your bhakti practice. But don't become obsessed with becoming the attractive one, right? Let Krishna be the attractive one. And if one does that, it's just a relief, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
It's exhausting trying to be the center of attention.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a takeaway there, Mara. Let Krishna be the attractive one. You like that?
Do I got
All
it?
right. Okay.
You got any other takeaways for us, Mara?
Oh, we're not quite there yet. I suppose we could be. We got 5 minutes to go.
55.
Keep going. Yeah, we can keep going.
Yeah. You want
Okay.
takeaways, or are you guys gonna read?
Let's keep going, right?
Okay.
All right.
We're always like, do we have
I've
to?
already checked out. Sorry.
Okay, so the Garuda was flapping his wings. That was text 34. The Vedas were coming
35.
out of his wings.
Then, after the departure of the Lord, the worshipful sage Kardama stayed on the bank of Bindu Sarovara, waiting the time of which the Lord had spoken. Swayambhu Vamanu, with his wife, mounted his chariot, which was decorated with golden ornaments. Placing his daughter on it with them, he began traveling all over the earth. Over Dura, they reached the hermitage of the sage, who had just completed his vows of austerity on the very day foretold by the Lord. The holy lake Bindu Sarovara, flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati, was resorted to by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious, but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovara because drops of tears had fallen from the eyes of the Lord. And Bindu means like a drop. Who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection. You know what's crazy is all these places that you read in the Bhagavatam and all the Puranas, you can still find these places in India. They're still there.
Bindu Sarovar, you can go there.
The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees and creepers, rich in fruits and flowers of all seasons, that afforded shelter to pious animals and birds, which uttered various cries.
We're hearing a whole description now, actually. Like, what we're getting now is like, we're hearing a description of a place where the sages gather, a place where the yogis meditate, and we're going to hear like what it's like there. So it has to do with, it begins with the trees and the creepers and the fruits and all that. It's a beautiful area, right?
Text 40. The shore of the lake was surrounded by clusters of pious trees. Oh, I'm sorry. We read that. It was adorned by the beauty of groves of forest trees. 41. The area resounded with notes of overjoyed birds. Intoxicated bees wandered there. Intoxicated peacocks proudly danced, and merry cuckoos called one another.
Everybody's intoxicated.
Intoxicated and merry cuckoos. Lake Bindu Sarovar was adorned by flowering trees such as Kadamba, Champak, Ashok, Karagya, Bakula, Asana, Kunda, Mandara, Kutaj, and young mango trees. The air was filled with pleasing notes of the Karandava ducks, plovus, that's another bird, swans, ospreys, waterfowl.
That's another bird. What is a plovus?
Plovus, I don't know. Cranes, chakravakas, and chakoras.
What's your favorite tree, Raghunath?
Favorite tree?
Bakula? Yeah. Which would Champak? Ashok? Kadumb? What do you like?
Kadumb.
Do you have a favorite?
I like mango trees. I like fruit trees personally.
Yeah. And bird?
Favorite birds?
Let's end with this. I want to hear you. I'm sorry. Did you say you fear birds?
Favorite birds you said? What's my favorite bird?
What's your favorite bird?
That's a good question. You know, I'm a sucker for peacocks and quetzals.
Okay. Thank you.
Peacocks and quetzals, probably. The Indian blue peacocks.
All right.
Quetzal was the South American fascinating bird that Montezuma wore the feathers on his hair, on his crown.
Oh, you learned something there in Mexico, didn't you?
No, it was just old Mexican knowledge.
Okay. Well, let's read one more verse. This is about the animals that are there.
Its shores abounded with deer, boar, porcupines, gravayas, elephants, baboons, lions, monkeys, mongooses, and musk deer.
All
Just
right.
talking
Which
about
do
those
you like
musk
most?
Well,
Deer
I like the musk
or
deers, of course.
porcupine?
Yeah,
Okay, the musk deer.
and I love monkeys. Entering that most sacred
Hold
spot
it.
with this.
Let's end it right there because I think we can do a lot with the next two verses, and we're out of time. 6
Okay.
o'clock. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mara.
Margie,
What's up?
takeaways.
All right. Takeaways for today. If you give yourself to God, you'll never be frustrated.
Mhm.
Yes, yes, Mara. Yes.
All the pain and heartache is expertly orchestrated.
Expertly orchestrated by the Lord.
Even the jerks are pure spirit souls. Have compassion.
Yeah, they are.
Be the bee.
Be the bee. Be the bee.
It always feels good when you apologize.
Does. It really does.
Fix your mind on Vishnu and have compassion for the haters.
Compassion for the haters.
Consciously avoid all the garbage.
Step aside the garbage.
Refine your reaction.
Ooh, lucky.
And let Krishna be the attractive one.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no show tomorrow, right?
Oh, that's
We'll be
right. No
back
show
Sunday?
tomorrow.
No show. But there's a show Sunday. It's Q&A day Sunday at 8 o'clock. I'll be in Vermont.
If people have a question, how do they run in?
How do they write in? They go to wisdomofthesages.com. No. You go to
wisdomofthesages108 at gmail.com.
wisdomofthesages108 at gmail.com. You write your questions in there. Mara keeps a running list of questions. She gives them to me, Kaustubha. We answer your questions. I'm looking forward to that. We're going to hang at Bhakti Stock this weekend. Really excited for this. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hey, remember, if you haven't gone to Apple Podcasts in a while, you got to write a review. Tell us your spiritual journey. We want to hear about it. We want to know how you got into Bhakti, how Bhakti's affected your life. And if you share on Apple Podcasts, the whole world can hear it. And sometimes people get inspired by your story, you know? So write it up there. And this, I tell you, if you want to get inspired, you read those comments in the Apple reviews, Apple Podcast reviews. Do that. And if there's something that jumped out at you today at the show, perhaps it was Be the Bee. Perhaps Be the Bee jumped out at you today and sort of stung you right in the patoot. If that did, take a look, write it down, tag us, and then post it, and we'll retag it. We'll retag Be the Bee. And we'll post it. And yeah, you can even use a bee emoji for that one. Let's see how many of those we get. Okay, Bhakti Justin, you ready? You ready for your dance-a-thon?
Is that like a Black Sabbath Krishna conscious shirt or something he's got on? What is that?
Oh, that's what it is. It's Black Sabbath. It's Swasti. We're gonna get Swasti on the show. We like these guys.
Swasti. Okay.
He's a pro BMX. You should follow him. I think it's this. I'll find it.
Pro BMX
He's a
biker.
pro BMX guy, but everybody follow him today. It's surprising. And he makes this
Can't hear you, Rob.
SWASSSSTI.
Swasti.
Swasti.